The feast heads north to Buffalo Wild Wings Elk River this Friday. You can join PA, Nordo, Alec Lewis. They get you set for Sunday's showdown with the Ravens with nonstop football talk, great food and drinks, and your shot at prizes all morning long. Doors open at 8 a.m. Get all the details now. KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Ben Goessling covers the Minnesota Vikings, writes about football for the Star Tribune and StarTribune.com. This segments provided by Standard Heating and Air and StandardHeating.com, and the Scribe joins us now. You know, when I lived in Southern California, and my second stepfather would take me to a VFW in Monrovia, California.
Okay.
As a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old. When I was going to high school and then subsequently junior college. There was a dice game that I learned called Ship Captain and Crew.
You can learn a lot in a VFW.
There's a lot, yeah, for sure. Darts and a bunch of things. But people in the back with phones on their tables and stuff like this, it was weird. Ship Captain and Crew as the football team goes. The ship, the proverbial ship, was burning after Los Angeles.
Yep.
8 captains spoke before the Lions game, and it resonated with the crew. And ship captain and crew. So, in a roundabout way, what I'm getting at here is...
There's like a Viking metaphor to this whole thing, too. This works on several levels.
Well, very cool gamer that you had yesterday. And it triggered my mind to think about ship captain and crew. Ship was on fire as it left Los Angeles or Long Beach Harbor. The captains were required to speak, and the crew was required to respond, and it did.
Yeah.
Then you wrote about the captain speaking in your Gamer, StarTribune.com. So from what you know, what did those donning the seas hit on Saturday night at Detroit's Westin Book Cadillac Hotel? And good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, there were, I think, it basically was say what you want to say. I think the theme overall was we need to kind of make sure that this team can become what they believe it can be. Kind of we need to plant our feet a little bit here. And J.J. McCarthy talked about sleeping in his college bed because I think his infant son has not been sleeping terribly well, fussy at night. So he said there's been a lot of times where he's trying to just get some shut-eye, and he's not able to sleep. And he said, I keep having this image of a silver platter and having an opportunity sitting on top of the platter that the Vikings have a chance to go grab. So he talked about some of those things. I think a number of other players, Josh Metellus, Brian O'Neill, took it different ways, obviously. But I think the theme was, let's not let this thing pass us by, and this can still be a team that does some things down the stretch of the season. So I think some of it was emotional. I think some of it was probably a little fiery. Kevin O'Connell mentioned that, and a lot of players that basically said, no, this is not going the way we want it to, and we need to do something about it now. And obviously they responded and got it done in a game that I was not expecting them to win. I'm not sure many people were. I mean, they've played all of the graphics of everybody picking against them, but yeah, it was a big win for them, especially because of how much trouble they've had in that building.
Mm-hmm. Without going too far down the road and just having everybody involved listening, and that would include Mad Producer in here.
Yeah.
With everybody knowing all of the same stuff. But then for those, who execute their toil at this facility and, they go to the press conferences and cover the team and talk about the team and all that. It could be at a different level, simply because of the job aspect of it.
Sure.
So with all of that known, if you believe there was a tension-related bubble that needed to burst, if you believe there was tension-related ice that needed to be broken. And I am one that believes that. Okay. And I'm speaking for you too. Okay. I think you are too. Do you think like there was a bubble that needed to burst?
I think there was a lot of frustration.
Okay.
In terms of just the season had not gone well.
Okay, so if you believe from the captains at Westin, Detroit's Westin Book Cadillac,
yeah,
the game, bubble burst happiness,
yeah,
do you think it sticks?
I think one game is a lot to try to extrapolate. I mean, it's very easy to take one game and say, hey, this is all going to be different. And then Lamar Jackson comes in here on Sunday, and then you're right back to 4-5. And, and then you got Caleb Williams, then you got the Packers, and all of those things can come from that. I do think this type of a win matters a little more than your average division victory.
Agreed.
Just because they had been so bad in that building. I looked this up, and I mentioned this to Kevin O'Connell in the press conference yesterday. They had not had a lead in that building.
I saw your tweet
with Kevin O'Connell as the coach.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The last time they led was
Cam Dantzler.
Early in the Cam Dantzler, Amon-Ra St. Brown game.
Yep.
That was really.
And late, too, because Jared Goff brought them back for that touchdown at the end. Was that game the Cam Dantzler, what are you doing call?
No, that was Seattle.
Yeah.
That
10.
Seattle,
game,
the DK Metcalf.
Yeah, that game for the Lions. Actually, I actually got into a low-key I'm not a big argumentative guy, okay? I'll prefer to say I'm sorry, even if I think I'm 75% right, just to diffuse the sucker.
Sure.
So we can move on and stop wasting our time here.
Yeah.
But there was
wisdom in that.
I got into a low-key chat with somebody after the game by the buses.
Yeah.
Simply because I wasn't as upset about the loss as some people thought I should be.
Yeah.
And here's why. Your team is not going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, so our team is not going to the playoffs. This team had not won a game in a year, the Lions. Their fans had not seen a victory in close to 2 years because of the pandemic.
Right.
So am I happy the Vikings lost? No. Am I crestfallen that this other lovable loser won or because of it? No.
Yeah.
And it was the machismo. God, it was just every inch of every blade of grass. No, whatever, man. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, that one was...
That entire season was built on weird one-score losses
sure was.
and just awful.
There was just a lot
that was Amon-Ra St. Brown's first touchdown.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of the coming out party that day for him. But that you talk about vibes in a season, man. That one.
So Baltimore's 3-5.
Yeah.
And Lamar's back and galloping quite well from what we hear.
Yeah.
Their last win was against
Miami.
I don't know if you watched any of it. I didn't watch a lot of it because it was putrid. It looked like a team that, I never talk like this and never would cast an affront on a team where we're not in the room. I'm not plugged into.
Right.
I'm not juiced into any steam there. But it looked like they were laying down. It looked like the Dolphins were laying down trying to get a coach, general manager, and everybody fired.
Got the GM fired.
GM got fired. Okay, so that's Baltimore's last race.
Right.
That's what we saw. Well, they're 3-5. Their defense ain't great. And they're on the road, and they're 3.5, 4-point favorites in this game coming up against a team that got healthy, just went on the road and beat a legitimate Super Bowl candidate.
Yeah.
And now comes home. So I just don't understand why the Vikings are closer to a touchdown underdog than they are to being a team that could win the game -1 or something.
Yeah, I suppose. I have to think it's the quarterback difference. Wow. It's just McCarthy hasn't proven yet to a level of getting the benefit of the doubt from the odds makers, where it's Lamar Jackson.
But it's the same quarterback who was just on the road who beat a quarterback who throws better than Lamar.
Correct. Yes, and he did so as an even bigger underdog. Yeah, there is, I think, some of that, and the one game thing. I think Vegas is probably saying, okay, we need a little more sample size, and it's Jackson and it's Derrick Henry.
Fair,
but playing a team that had struggled against the run, and you talk about planting a flag on Sunday. They took Jahmyr Gibbs out of that game, and
the outside the number stuff too was really good.
Well, and the thing is, he had killed them last year. I had forgotten it was this bad. He had 6 touchdowns in those 2 games last year against them.
Well, the biggest game of the year, he had 4.
Right. I mean, that game where it's NFC number 1 seed on the line, he changed the whole thing. And I think the one at US Bank Stadium too, he beats, I think it was Cam Bynum making a cut inside, and he gets outside and scores like a 34-yard touchdown early in that game. That kind of was a pivotal moment for the Lions there as well. So for the fact that they were able to shut him down, part of it was they got ahead and they made him pass protect, which he does not do very well, as we saw on Sunday, and the numbers bore that out. But if you can contain the run against that team, you have to feel better about it. It's still a tough matchup with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, but they probably have to feel a little better about that than they otherwise would, because
I get that.
They have not been good against the run this year. They did well against Saquon Barkley, and then Kimani Vidal obviously has the big day against them in L.A. I think that may be part of it as well, where the odds come from.
That's unfair. I mean, that's I don't think it is, because those who set these lines off power rankings, power ratings, well, they're not in the losing money business. So they don't overlook that Van Ginkel did not play in that game.
Yeah.
And what the team is with Grenard, Cashman, and Van Ginkel.
Yeah.
So here, just to land the plane on this, tell me what you think of this, because you know how the game works behind the scenes. When I see something like that on a Monday, a team with a losing record that just beat crap Miami, okay, we're happy for Lamar. We're not talking about Tom Brady here.
Yeah.
All right. And you're talking about a team that's gotten healthy, is coming home, and just pulled one of the two bigger upsets of the entire season, along with Carolina at Lambeau. I wonder if agents know that there's some Darrisaw news coming, that this might be a Darrisaw. I mean, we know as well as anybody, man, Christian Darrisaw is arguably the most important player on this team, as we've seen all these games now.
Yeah.
How O'Connell reacted when he played against Cincinnati. And just he's one of the best, if not, he's one of the best three left tackles in the NFL.
Yeah.
So him and O'Neal, obviously that duo matters a ton.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody behind the scenes, which leads me to thinking about agents. Maybe they know this is going to be one of those weird Darrisaw weeks, where it's like, pretend pitch count again. You think you're going to get 3 quarters, you only get 1, or maybe it's. Do you think it's behind the team and it's full throttle Darrisaw moving forward?
Well, I think they feel better about it. It will be interesting to see what the practice plan is. I would expect if he practices tomorrow, I wouldn't get terribly worried if it's nothing on Thursday. That has kind of been the rotation of things. It'll be, I don't think we asked about it a ton yesterday, how he came out of it. I think there's optimism generally about him and O'Neal. And I think Kevin O'Connell said the team overall came out of it relatively healthy. Right. So, that is the thing that you have to keep watching because of how it's gone so far. And it's been a little touch and go as they try to get him back up to full speed. But if they have him, it changes things a lot, and I think there's every reason to believe that they will. We don't have any reason to say there's not, but it does. It's one of those things that when you talk about the line, it's worth thinking about. We'll have more info on that tomorrow. Yeah, but
you might get a little more info on it today between 11 and 11:30.
That's also probably true. He probably will get some info on the air here shortly about where that's going to. But I think it's one of those things where if they have that line healthy, you saw it Sunday. There was still pressure, but they had a lot more clean pockets to operate from, and that changes everything for McCarthy.
I feel like the dam broke with that Chargers game, and so just this patchwork and everything that went into just trying to get Wentz upright and on the field, and it was really the first game of the season that they just had no shot in. And so they come back, and you guys talked about tension and potential bubble bursting. Maybe this is dumb, but I just think about this season through 8 games. Monday night, Sunday night, cool nooner, and you blow out the Bengals. Then it's this stupid trip to Dublin on a shorty, and then it's London for a week and all those things. The Vikings have 4 straight weeks, 3 of them at home, in which it is a full week of practice. It is a Sunday. It is a noon game. And what they did in Detroit, now next step is proving it with Lamar and Derrick Henry, and you laid that out. But I just kind of wonder, is this an opportunity for them to finally, for the first time all year, have rhythm in combination with getting healthier? That lends to some optimism for me as a 40-year-old Rube. I'm just thinking 4 straight weeks, simple noon game, full practice, the kid QB's healthy, and we'll figure out this tackle thing as you guys just discussed. But there's some rhythm to this schedule here that I think that lends to some more consistency from the purple.
I would agree with that, and I think for NFL players and teams, that is a bigger deal than fans might realize. People say, okay, fine, whatever, play on Thursday, play on Monday. It's like, no, if you go through the week, because everything from Sunday when they break down the huddle in the locker room and kind of finish the celebrating,
and we watch those cool videos.
Right. Once the cool videos are done, the process toward the next one already starts, and all of it is scripted pretty much down to the minute, or planned down to the minute, I should say. because there's that much to get done. It's players getting treatment, and today is the day off for players, but treatment is still open for players to come in who need it. Coaches are getting game plans ready. The whole week kind of stacks on a predictable pattern, and when you throw that off, whether it's travel or whether it's scheduling, it's just everybody feels a little out of sorts.
Yeah.
And it's harder to operate the way you want to, and everybody has to do it. It's part of life in the NFL. The Thursday games are big TV money. Those are not going away no matter how much players may want them to. But when you can get into a little more of this rhythm where it's Sunday games, your rehab schedule makes sense, it's predictable, your practice schedule doesn't have to change, all those kinds of things, I do think that helps. And I think especially for players like Christian Darrisaw coming back from something like that, just to have that, okay, there's a little more comfort here, there's a little more routine here that I can be comfortable with. I think that stuff helps and may help them get past the point of, kind of some of the uncertainty they've had early in the season with him.
When you say everybody has to do it, I'm going to respectfully, I'll agree, but not
everybody has to do the overseas thing
twice,
right?
So
that was unprecedented.
What the Viking and you and I mean, the scribe and the announcer, big deal, but it's our jobs,
sure.
And remember when you walked into the Vox box at Ford Field? First thing that I said to you was, it's 1 p.m. Eastern,
yeah.
But just think Nude Central.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how great is it to have a Sunday noon game at a destination that's not 8 hours away?
Yeah.
And, just to get back at a reasonable time and settle into a reasonable schedule. I mean, that's why when you said like everybody has to do it. Well,
everybody has to do the Thursday thing. Is what I mean.
But look at this, man. I mean, you know this. Opening week, Monday Night Football on the road.
Yep.
So what's next? At Dublin, at London.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you're at Los Angeles on Thursday night. That's unbelievably the elasticity with it stretched. It can get stretched thin.
Yeah, it's unbelievable for now. I think what I mean by that is this stuff is not slowing down. The NFL is on a mission to take over more and more of the available TV hours in more and more of the large cities in the world. So, Roger Goodell has talked about the international games planning to grow. I mean, I think they want to double that eventually. So you're going to have, the Vikings were the guinea pigs for this, and I don't think anybody in this building would be like jumping up and down, raising their hands, saying, yeah, let's go do that again next year. But the overall inconveniences of NFL routines are going to grow because there are business opportunities, and the business opportunities ultimately make these decisions. It's not, hey, we really want to go to Australia. Like the Rams are going to play in Australia next year. So, how are you going to do that doesn't disrupt everybody's schedule and routine? I don't think the NFL is that concerned about that. It's basically, hey, there's money to be made here.
Yeah.
We can grow the game.
We're
doing the flag football thing.
You figure it out. Yeah.
So there's going to be more of that.
When I look at this game, I look, we were talking point spreads earlier. I still think they have a lack of belief in the quarterback, in J.J. McCarthy. I think that's really the biggest stark contrast of the two teams here on Sunday. And with that said, getting to see him take two, we've waited a freaking month and a half for this. What did you think? Things that either stood out or didn't step out? We were talking before you got on the air here. I was watching this QB school breakdown. That was terrific. Yeah,
he's great.
49 minutes and just so many cool little nuanced bits that he provided. But from your standpoint, from Sunday's game, the numbers don't jump off the page from a yardage, completion standpoint, etc. But he manufactured 3 TDs, gets the win in a weird building. What'd you think?
Well, the decisiveness to me was the first thing that stuck out. You look at that first drive, he realizes there's a zero pressure look coming from the Lions. He checks the play, basically says, hey, we got to bring in more protection. I think he motioned a tight end over and then basically throws the screen to Aaron Jones, knowing the ball's got to come out right away. They're bringing pressure. I'm going to be hot.
On that third down play?
On the 3rd and 10 where Jones gets a first down on it. That, I think, that level of adjustment saying, hey, there's pressure coming. We saw him make some of those plays earlier, make some of those reads at least. But the fact that he hits the screen and then they get the first down and then the very next play is the one that goes for the Justin Jefferson touchdown. And we've seen this a couple times. We saw Carson Wentz do it. We saw Sam Darnold do it. They have some of these plays where if the corner is pressing, the receiver, this route converts into a fade, and they say, let's take a shot at this. Let's try to, especially if it's Justin Jefferson. It was Jefferson in Green Bay last year.
That bad boy you
Addison
put on Twitter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, at Ben Goessling. I watched it earlier today. It's really good.
Yes. Well, they actually did this. I think the one I put out was probably an Addison one.
Yeah, it was.
But Jefferson, they did this too for the touchdown, where it's if you're going to press, we're going to throw it over your head. Mm-hmm. And for him to see it and then throw the ball that he did, I mean, J.C. O'Sullivan made this point too, that probably comes out a little hot, but with Justin Jefferson, you can do it because, I mean, the catch was incredible. He makes the one-handed catch for the touchdown. But
it's unbelievable he made that catch.
Yeah, that was a heck of a catch. But some of the decisiveness on those things, finding the one-on-one matchups and pulling the trigger, I thought was noticeable.
Okay, well, the video, the film breakdown that you put that I saw, where it was the fade left early to Addison by the pylon.
Right.
And
that was a great throw.
Great throw, and good coverage, too.
Yep.
And Addison almost brought it in. Here's the deal. Fast forward in the game to Jefferson making a catch on the right side where, and I'm bringing this up with O'Connell between 11 and 11:30. McCarthy is left hash mark. Okay. Addison, because of what they did earlier, McCarthy stares at the safety, gets the safety to go Addison's way, swings back left hash outside the numbers to Jefferson for a first down. So they set that play up. Well, and not purposely, but because of that play, they were able to get Justin open, but McCarthy has to make a tough throw. Left hash outside the numbers, but he has the arm strength to do it.
Yeah. That is some of those things. You see those throws where he can drive it to the sideline. The arm strength is there for those.
The route that Jefferson ran on that play, by the way, was unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
I don't know who was in coverage on him. No chance.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect throw. Part of one thing that I noticed in this game, he was breaking the huddle 5-6 seconds, it felt like, faster than he was earlier in the season. And so I'm complete outsider guy. Again,
that matters, though.
Total fan in Rube. I was always of the mind, I've always wondered, like, was KO in his headset, like, right up to the bitter end where that thing turned off?
I think probably.
If that was a thing potentially early when we got to see him against the Bears and Falcons. But on Sunday, he had at least, it felt like most plays, 4 or 5 real-time seconds to survey the field.
Yep.
I think that helped a lot.
I do too. There were a lot more checks where you see him tapping his helmet going can. I mean, there was some of that early. I think a number of the first plays on that initial drive, those initial 2 touchdown drives, he's checking at the line. You have more time to do that if the operation is better. And this stuff seems minute, or it may seem boring, but this stuff matters a lot to how the position gets played. We don't see it all the time on TV because the announcers are talking and there's replays and you're not seeing what's happening between plays. But yes, getting the operation set, getting up to the line, even doing it fast enough that the headset can still be going when McCarthy is at the line. If it's before 15 seconds, like, they can use that as a hack too. So yeah, I think all that stuff matters. I think there were some moments where he was a little amped up. I thought in the second quarter when he kind of got in that run where he's outside the pocket, there's some throws that probably came out a little hot. I thought there would have been some chances.
Oh, the Yamamoto fastball he threw at Jefferson about 2 feet over his head.
Yep. There was one to Hawkinson, too, that Hawkinson dropped, I think, on like a 3rd and long from their own 4. That was a bullet. I think Hawkinson almost was surprised that it came in that hot. But
and that was the play after he almost just gives up at the goal line. Is going to be sacked, gets out. But then he doesn't get rid of the ball, and I think it was Barnes who tracked him down. Oh.
Yeah, he was trying to run rather than just throwing it away. So yeah, there are those little things that
do you think Jordan Mason buys JJ McCarthy some lunch this week after a couple of those pass protection related issues?
There may be needs for a little bit of that. They miss Aaron Jones in that regard and CJ Ham too.
Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. XS Vikings is the podcast. There's also a newsletter. Learn more about that via Ben's Twitter feed at Ben Goessling. And the segments are provided by Standard Heating and Air. More with the Scribe coming up next, but first, here's Double B.
The cash thing, the fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks, the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com, keyword credit for this hour. Keyword credit, KFAN.com, keyword credit. Home Services has your shot at 4 tickets to see Green Bay take on the Purple in early January, plus $500 in game day cash. Register for your chance to win today. KFAN.com/furnace. KFAN.com/furnace.
lucky suckers. 9 to noon with the scribe and the head coach here 25 minutes from now.
We got to see Van Ginkel on Sunday. We've been waiting. My bad. We've been waiting for Van Ginkel. We got to see Van Ginkel.
Yep.
PA was actually showing me a highlight of Khalif Raymond trying to take a shot at Van Ginkel during that game. Heated rivalry as it is. The ability to have most of the right names back defensively. Certainly part of the story with Flores in his own right, the way we've struggled against the Kitties. Flores has struggled against Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gibbs and all of these things. And to see them handle business the way they did, specifically with 43 back on the field, that was sweet.
Yeah, and I thought the linebacker blitzes, and it was Van Ginkel, it was Cashman, it was Harrison Smith coming off the edge at times, Van Ginkel dropping into coverage. I mean, they ran enough of those things, I thought, that changed the game because they got home a lot against Goff. And the thing with Goff over the years has been if you can pressure him, he struggles against it. Now, that has changed a little bit with the Lions. I think they came up with some protection answers for the Vikings last year. Ben Johnson has a lot to do with that. Ben Johnson's not there anymore, and that line is not as strong without Frank Ragnow and some injury things. So they were able to pressure him. I thought the fact that they kept Gibbs in the backfield. I think Gibbs had more pass protection snaps than he'd ever had in his career on Sunday. He was in the backfield like 15 times. Number one, he gave up a lot of pressures. And number two, if he's in the backfield,
he's not an option.
He's not an option. So, and I asked O'Connell about that yesterday, and he said, yeah, we'd certainly prefer to not have him out in space getting the ball. So I think the plan was to pressure Goff and bring a lot of pressure regardless, but that was probably a nice benefit to it, that when you have all of your people back, you have all your chess pieces, they don't know where it's coming from. They have to max protect more often, and it plays things in your favor because it takes one of the more dynamic players in the NFL out of it a little more often as a receiving option.
Going above and beyond just picking at the box score, do you feel like Javon Hargrave was noticed more on Sunday maybe than he has at any other point since he joined the Vikings?
Yes, you felt the presence there. I think it looked closer to what we saw in training camp, where I thought was pretty forceful.
He was
in a lot of
dominant
those
during
days.
camp.
Yeah, he was. And I think they got closer to that. I think the level of disruption that he provided was a noticeable difference. I mean, that's a lot when you can bring pressure up the middle. They had a lot of those linebacker twists on the stunts. And then if you have him and Jonathan Allen in there, I mean, quarterbacks do not like pressure in their face.
No.
And they have a lot of different ways to force quarterbacks to deal with that. You have to have those guys making plays to kind of build that to the degree that you want. I think him doing what he did was noticeable. Jalen Redmond continues to provide some pressure as well.
Yeah, that's not even really flash in the pan at this point.
No,
like Jalen Redmond might just be a really good player and a nice find for this group.
Yes, it's happened enough that it's harder to discount it. And I think his snap counts certainly make you think that they believe in it because he's getting a lot more run, has gotten more run throughout the course of the season. I think they believe pretty strongly in what he can do. I think it's part of the reason they traded Harrison Phillips, is saying we think Jalen Redmond and the depth we have with him and Levi Drake Rodriguez gives them enough, but you need Hargrave and Allen to be a bigger part of that. Certainly Hargrave was on Sunday.
Is the NFC North wide open? Has it become wide open with the leaders at Green Bay 5-2-1? Vikings still in last at 4-4, and we have the Lions right in front of them at 5-3. I make that the Bears at 5-3.
Yes, it is very interesting, and I think the Packers losing on Sunday. I mean, they have been capable of those types of games. It seems like under Matt LaFleur, where it's just every once in a while they play down to an opponent they should beat. I mean, you mentioned the upsets; they were, I think, 13-point favorites or something like that against the Panthers. And then they lose Tucker Kraft for the season, who I think that is a big loss because...
No big deal. Eagles around the corner, too.
Yeah. I think that's the next game, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Monday night, maybe?
Yep. So it is one of those things... Yes. It's one of those things where if you lose him, they have struggled to find, who's Jordan Love's number one option. It had become Tucker Kraft, I think, in a lot of ways. And, Christian Watson, when he's healthy, they have Romeo Doubs, some of these other receivers, but they've not had the guy that seems to be when the house is burning, this is the guy that we know can make a play. I think that had become Tucker Kraft. So him being out for the year, I think changes their offense quite a bit. And it makes me a little more uncertain if they're going to be at the top of this thing. So, yeah, I do think it's pretty wide open. The Bears, it's hard to know how much of this is for real, how much of this is still going to just be a little herky-jerky. I think it may just be a lot of that. But, yeah, there's a lot that can happen in these next couple of weeks here. After the Ravens for the Vikings, it's 2 in a row in the division. That's going to have a lot to say about where this goes.
I'm not going to grandstand and say Green Bay will win that game against Philly.
Yeah.
But if I'm spotting up, I'm playing Green Bay.
Yeah.
And here's why. They lose to Cleveland. They lose to Bryce Young. They beat Jared Goff. They beat Jaden Dan. They play that. It's
kind of play to the level.
Yeah, the civil servant, Johnny K said it yesterday, sending a text and he's a Packers fan, and he really pointed some things out to 9 to Noon that, yeah, we kind of knew this, but there was some context to it about how they're playing up and down to teams' levels.
Yeah.
And they'll play up to the level of this team at home, nationally televised game. If Green Bay won that game, I'm zero surprised.
Yeah, there does seem to be some of that with them where they will look great
in the game too.
Yeah, they'll look great against better opponents, and then it's some of those games that you say, okay, they should win this handily. They never seem to. So, yeah, that is it's going to be interesting to see where that goes with them. I just think the loss of Kraft, I think changes a lot of things for that offense.
To our favorite team, speaking of a loss, potentially, we'll see, is how productive Aaron Jones was in the run. I kind of made that fleeting joke to you before we went to break. Jordan Mason, some tough moments on Sunday in pass protection. Now we're sweating a shoulder and a toe. Like, as you go throughout the week, is that kind of the topic for you in terms of, from a health perspective, we want to see Christian Darrisaw, we want to see the plan moving forward and all that. But how serious is this or not serious is this based on your vibes with KO talking yesterday?
Yeah, Jones, I think Andrew Kramer caught up with him in the locker room on Sunday while I was going to O'Connell's press conference, and Jones didn't sound that concerned about it. The shoulder, he said, is an AC joint sprain, and he said that's one of those that you put some padding on it, you basically stabilize it. I mean, you see a lot of guys play through those things.
Just a little Robitussin, throw some dirt on it, and we're good to go.
Exactly, something like that. So, yes, I think he feels like that won't be something that keeps him out on Sunday, and he's certainly played through things throughout the course of his career. So, yeah, I mean, I think he had more burst on Sunday than I was necessarily expecting. He was going to be fresh coming back from that injury, but I think the fact that he did what he did was a big reason why they won that game. They needed to run the ball effectively. I mean, they ran for 142 yards, I think it was. So
let me ask
the fact
you this,
that he did that, it has a lot to do with him.
Dumb question again, and something that I could have just searched on the internet for. Why was that catch and run ruled a rush?
Well, I think it must have been.
It was a forward pass.
Yeah, let's see. Why would they have? I mean, they must have said it wasn't a forward pass.
That would be the only.
But you can throw backwards passes, and there's still completions. Yeah, why did that end up being a run?
And there were 2 sacks, definitely one by Derek Barnes for the Lions. Yeah. I couldn't believe they were sacks.
Yeah.
I thought they were either tackles for loss or zeros, for just running.
Yeah. So the one McCarthy scrambled out, I think they called that a sack. Yeah,
the kid QB's begging for numbers right now. We need that. Yeah. We need to put that 31 back on the stat line for number 9.
Yeah, that is kind of odd that ended up being a run. I mean, O'Connell pointed it out yesterday. I think that was a little perplexing to him as well. So maybe he'll get into that with you guys at 11.
I appreciate you, buddy. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thanks.
Ben Goessling, courtesy of Standard Heating and Air, standardheating.com. The aforementioned Kevin is Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and he joins this radio show 15 minutes-ish from now. We call it X's and O's, and that's at 11 News to Nords around the corner.
Hey, Rubes, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest to learn more. KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Welcome back. It's News to Nord, brought to you by The Casino. Not a casino, but The Casino. It's in Shakopee, Minnesota. It's at Canterbury Park. And you can feel the felt. You're playing poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. You're having sips at chips, and you're tipping Derek Allen. You're watching live racing, spring and summer. And on Thursdays, You're doing the NFL Pro Pick'em Challenge, which is super sweet. You're already there. You're having a blast. All you got to do on Thursdays, you jump down to Shaq and you put in the winners of the weekend of football. You're an elite football mind, right? And each week, a little walking around money, weekly winners. But at the end of the season, somebody's going to get free fuel for a year, courtesy of Quick Trip. So don't worry about gas prices. Just go win the NFL Pro Pick'em Challenge, and Quick Trip's got you hooked up for an entire year. So that's sweet. Thank you, Canterbury. Thank you, Minnesota Wild, by the way, for trying to make something out of this 6-game homestand as a team broke, I believe, a 5-loss streak with a win over Vancouver the other night. Well, before you head out on the road, why don't you just go ahead and beat the Predators? That's at 7 p.m. this evening, right here on your home for Wild Hockey, The Fan.
The Predators, by the way, are 0-2 this year on back-to-backs. They played last night at home and lost to the Couve. So they're 0-2 on back-to-backs this year. This is a back-to-back with travel. The Wild should beat Bruno's bunch tonight.
To the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were in Brooklyn last evening, they beat the Nets 125-109. Nice shooting percentage performance. I believe well above 50% for the Howl, 40% for the Nets. The reason I bring that up is the Nets are awful. They're winless, but the Wolves were kind of messing around with them a little bit last night. I don't know how much. I mean, maybe it's just winless Nets. They're terrible. Even though we don't have Ant, we're going to find our way to a victory. I don't know if the team's in the spot where they can think like that, but Cam Thomas at one point looked like he was going to go off for 40. He just ended with 25. How about Julius Randle, though? Julius Randle, without Ant now, but even with Ant in the mix earlier in the season, PA, he's been absolutely terrific. Last night, he bleeped around and got a triple-double, 19, 11, and 10 dimes with a couple of steals, and he found himself at the free throw line a fair amount. So they handled business. You get 25 out of Dante, and just in terms of, when Ant comes back, who, by the way, reported yesterday, I saw this from Dane Moore, that Ant has been cleared for contact and just kind of going through a return to play process. Probably, we'll see him maybe a week from now. Looking forward to it. I know Khan's LFL team is looking forward to the return of Ant in a big way. But just kind of until they get Ant back, you're not really going to know how this whole thing looks. Defensive intensity and just figuring out the mix of Conley, getting Dillingham in there with the mask. Everyone's nose is broken, apparently, DiVincenzo. But figuring out how this thing looks, how it works, still part of Finchie's process as we get underway in 25-26.
Yeah, the Timberwolves game last night was of the sluggardly variety.
Yeah.
It just wasn't really exciting to watch. It was on FanDuel. So yesterday we had some Peacock terrorism, but
and that's why I actually got to watch some of it.
Say me too. I don't have Peacock, but nevertheless, it was just kind of it was a game that looked like you have Cam Thomas. Okay, now you have Nick Claxton, who occasionally can have decent games, but Randall, and McDaniels, we have the best two players in the game. So eventually, we're going to utilize those two players, and there's no chance you can beat us. So we're going to push the button when we need to push the button, and Brooklyn go crazy. So that's what they did. Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels.
Did you think Rudy showed a little bit of life last night? I don't mean to clomp on you.
No, early in the game when I was watching, he was dominating. I didn't watch much of the second half.
Because the thing with me with Rudy, and I already read it, we're, 7 games into the season?
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of, okay, so, you put some more money in Rudy's pocket. You love him. Rudy's always been a polarizing conversation topic, specifically the last 2 years with the playoffs, of course.
Yeah.
But kind of the idea that, when this thing starts to go downhill for Rudy, a guy in his 30s and just being the 7-footer that he is and all of that this is going to be some sort of cliff-like drop-off. And so
I don't see that.
Well, that's the thing is first few games you're seeing, okay, how's he working himself into the mix and just kind of, what his productivity was early on. I was starting to see a little bit of that we're staring into the Grand Canyon and it looks like big man's about to fall off. I thought last night he had a ton of jump and juice. You mentioned it early and I saw that too. And I really loved Rudy's game last night.
Well, they're for me,
a bad team, but all the same.
It doesn't. Certainly, this doesn't mean it's right. This is my opinion off a question I didn't know was coming. So I'm just going to stream my consciousness and take it back to the postseason. I think Rudy is a game-shaped player. So certain games are going to shape up that they fit Gobert really, really well. Certain games aren't. Certain series see the Golden State the Golden State Warriors are going to shape up into a series where, wow, he's going to have 24 and 24. Certain series, COKC, are not.
Yeah.
And he's not going to play much. So I think it's a game-by-game deal with him where they're going to start with him. You're going to try some things, but not every game shapes up the way Gobert needs it to strive.
That makes sense. Last thing for you, Monday Night Football. There are probably many listeners who have YouTube TV who didn't get the chance to watch it unless they went in and paid the $30 or whatever it is for the ESPN app.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, well, YouTube TV and ESPN/Disney are in a financial dispute.
Wow.
In terms of offering. So
the reason I bring it up is it plays off what we said yesterday is, holy cow, you're having to pay so many different entities to watch so many different things now. I mean, when we got hit yesterday with that Peacock thing with the Wolves, and I'm like, bro, really? I mean, you got that. Now this YouTube thing that you just said.
Dude,
okay, Thursdays on
Paramount Plus.
Thursdays on Amazon Prime. Okay, that's fine, man. I mean, I'm not against people making money, but it's just coming from all angles, and then the local situation with FanDuel.
Yeah.
You know, and just whatever, man.
Well, no, that's the thing, and I think a lot of people are looking at the precarious timing of this as YouTube suddenly can't get a deal done with ESPN at a very, very similar time that ESPN is trying to launch basically their own media, their own Peacock.
I didn't even know YouTube was part of Disney.
And I think it's like, not YouTube's not, ESPN is, though.
Yeah, I know that.
Right, but so ESPN Disney has to negotiate with YouTube TV for all of their products.
If you want to show our bits.
Right, so ABC's not in the mix either. So get an antenna is really the A topic here, or pay, I think it's like $30 a month for the ESPN app. I don't have the specifics, and I'm definitely not paying that. But some people did watch the game, back to a Monday Night Football. How about the Cardinals on the road, 27-17 over the Cowboys? Jacoby Brissett for 260-2. They were able to run the ball against that hideous Eberflus defense. Marvin Harrison Jr. gets a touchdown, so his dad's happy. And Dak Prescott, touchdown and a pick. And Javonte Williams still kind of, resurrecting his career, certainly based after some awful performances in Denver, and now he's run it in Dallas. But, man, the Cowboys can't get out of their own way, man. 3-5-1. It's ugly. They did trade, I think Logan Wilson is the linebacker's name they just plucked from the Bengals.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference that is making. But we have two non-playoff teams on a Monday night that many people didn't see because they don't want to pay ESPN.
And I had the opportunity to watch it and chose not to. And I do have ESPN. So that's kind of what I thought of that game. When we return, Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, joins 9 to noon for his weekly stop in the Covenant. We call it X's and O's. And that should take place sometime right around the corner on KFAN.